Have you ever wondered why the figure of the trickster exists in every culture? The clown, the joker, the sly god who bends the rules, mocks authority, and turns order into chaos. The Greeks had Hermes, the messenger who could lie as easily as he could speak the truth. The Norse had Loki, the shapeshifter who could spark wars with a whisper. African folklore gave us Anansi, the spider who tricked kings and gods alike. And in modern times, we still see him everywhere. From the Joker in Gotham to the sarcastic friend who always has a cutting remark. Carl Jung believed this wasn't just mythology or entertainment. He said the trickster was an archetype, a living psychic force buried inside all of us. It is the chaos hiding beneath our polished personality, the wild, unfiltered part of us that laughs in the face of rules, masks, and seriousness. But here's the part Jung found most dangerous. The trickster isn't just a character out there in the world. He lives in you. Think of the last time you sabotaged yourself. The moment you had everything going right, then cracked a joke at the wrong time, burned a bridge without meaning to, or pushed away someone who cared. That wasn't just random behavior. That was the trickster at work. Jung said the psyche has ways of breaking down illusions. When we cling too tightly to order, perfection, or identity, the trickster erupts like a clown bursting into a funeral. He exposes our hypocrisy. He shows us the absurdity of the masks we wear. But why does the trickster matter? Because without him, we risk becoming rigid, prisoners of our own seriousness. The trickster forces us to laugh at ourselves, to see that even our deepest beliefs might be absurd. And yet, at the same time, he carries a warning. Left unchecked, his energy can drag us into sabotage, cynicism, and chaos. This is why Jung considered the trickster both a danger and a teacher, the joker and the destroyer, the one who rips away illusions, but sometimes leaves you with nothing in return. In the next section, we'll go deeper. Because the trickster isn't just about humor and chaos. He's the shadow clown who reveals your hidden wounds. And if you don't confront him, he'll turn your life into his stage. If the trickster was only about humor and light-hearted chaos, he'd be harmless. But Jung warned, the shadow of the trickster is anything but harmless. Think about it. Every time you've told yourself, I'll never make that mistake again, but then found yourself repeating it, that was the trickster. Every time you mocked your own dreams, sabotaged your success at the last second, or played games with love until it fell apart, that was the trickster pulling your strings. Jung said this archetype is the first face of the shadow, the clown who laughs at your values, mocks your seriousness, and exposes your hypocrisy. The more you try to appear put together, the louder he laughs. And the laugh is cruel, because it's a mirror. That's why the trickster shows up in dreams as clowns, fools, pranksters, or even animals who outsmart humans. He's the reminder that you are not as in control as you think. But here's the paradox. The trickster isn't your enemy. He humiliates you so you'll stop lying to yourself. He breaks your illusions so you can see truth. He sabotages your comfort because growth only happens in discomfort. Still, the danger is real. If you never recognize the trickster, you risk becoming him. The prankster who ruins every opportunity. The cynic who tears others down. The manipulator who twists truth into lies until no one trusts them. We see this everywhere. The comedian whose humor hides bitterness. The partner who plays emotional games instead of speaking honestly. The friend who seems entertaining but secretly thrives on chaos. The trickster's shadow is strongest when we deny him. When we say, "That's not me, I don't play games, I'm always honest." That denial is exactly what gives him power. Because the trickster isn't outside you, he's the part of you that laughs when you're caught lying. The voice that whispers during temptation. The impulse that pushes you toward the very thing you swore you'd avoid. So Jung gave us a challenge. Don't try to silence the trickster. Face him. Study his laugh. Ask yourself, what truth is hiding inside the joke? What part of me is he exposing? In the next section, we'll explore something deeper. Why the trickster isn't just destructive, but also the key to creativity, transformation, and individuation itself. Because sometimes, the only way to grow is through chaos. Most people fear the trickster because he's unpredictable. But Jung understood something deeper. The trickster is not only destructive, he's creative. Think about it. Every myth, every story, every great change in history has a trickster hidden inside it. Loki in Norse mythology, Hermes in Greek stories, Coyote in Native American tales. They disrupt, they confuse, but they also open doors no one else could. Why? Because the trickster has one job: to break the rules. And when rules are broken, something new can be born. Imagine your life as a carefully painted picture. The trickster doesn't politely add to it. He splashes paint across the canvas, ruining what you thought was perfect. But here's the paradox. That ruin often becomes the start of a masterpiece you never would have created on your own. This is why Jung said, the trickster is an archetype of transformation through chaos. He destabilizes your life so you can't cling to false identities. He forces you to improvise, to adapt, to discover parts of yourself you didn't know existed. Think of the times when your plans fell apart. You lost a job you thought you couldn't live without. A relationship collapsed in ways you didn't see coming. Life cornered you with humiliation, mistakes, or failure. In the moment, it feels like betrayal. But years later, you look back and say, that's when I started becoming who I am now. That's the trickster's hidden gift. Without him, you would remain locked in routine, bound by the illusion of control. With him, you're thrown into the unknown and forced to grow wings on the way down. Even in psychology, we see this. The therapist who makes a well-timed joke that shatters your resistance. The moment of laughter in deep grief that suddenly cracks your heart open. The trickster enters, and healing begins. But Jung warned, you must face this consciously. If you resist, the trickster becomes pure chaos. If you embrace him, he becomes your guide. This is why Jung placed the trickster at the threshold of individuation. He's the guard dog at the gate of transformation. You can't bypass him. You can't outwit him. You can only learn from him. So here's the secret. When life feels abud, when your plans collapse, when everything seems like a cruel joke, don't only ask, why me? Ask, what new story is trying to emerge? Because the trickster doesn't destroy for the sake of destruction. He destroys so that truth, creativity, and individuation can break through. In the next part, we'll go even deeper. How the trickster archetype shows up in your everyday life, often disguised as mistakes, accidents, or even people who annoy you the most, and how recognizing him can transform frustration into power. You don't need to look into myths or Jung's textbooks to find the trickster. He's already walking through your life, hidden in the accidents, frustrations, and moments that seem meaningless. Think of the time you lost your keys when you were already late, or when your carefully prepared presentation froze right as you began. These are not cosmic punishments. They are the trickster's small jokes, reminders that control is fragile and that laughter sometimes opens more doors than panic. But he doesn't just live in accidents. The trickster also wears human faces. That friend who teases you in just the right way to expose your blind spot. The co-worker who frustrates you until you realize you've been too rigid. Even the child who asks questions that make your whole worldview wobble. The trickster speaks through them, not to humiliate you, but to show what you've ignored. He thrives in the cracks of your certainty. Jung once noted that the unconscious never comes politely. It breaks through in dreams, slips of the tongue, sudden mistakes. This is the trickster's signature. When you call someone the wrong name, and it reveals a truth you didn't want to admit. When your phone autocorrects a message into something embarrassing, and suddenly honesty escapes where you meant to hide. These aren't random. They're invitations to awareness. But here's where it gets powerful. If you recognize the trickster instead of resenting him, your perspective changes. Suddenly, the traffic jam that ruined your schedule becomes the reason you missed an accident up ahead. The failed plan becomes the doorway to a better one. The embarrassing moment becomes the icebreaker that built a real connection. In relationships too, the trickster is alive. Have you noticed how arguments with loved ones often repeat in absurd patterns? The same joke gone wrong, the same button pushed. That's the trickster reminding you, this cycle is not just about them, it's about you. Pay attention. Even in society, we see his fingerprints. Satire, comedy, memes, all of them are trickster medicine. They strip away authority, expose hypocrisy, and force us to see what's been hiding in plain sight. A single joke can sometimes reveal the truth more sharply than 1,000 serious lectures. Jung insisted that individuation, the path to becoming whole, requires meeting the trickster consciously. That means paying attention to life's absurdities instead of dismissing them. Asking, why is this happening? What hidden lesson is behind this annoyance? Because the trickster doesn't just want to trip you, he wants to wake you. In the next part, we'll explore the ultimate question. How do you work with the trickster consciously, transforming him from a chaotic saboteur into a powerful ally on your journey toward individuation? Here's the secret Jung wanted us to understand. The trickster doesn't appear to ruin your life. He appears to reveal the parts of you that you'd rather ignore. If you resist him, you stay trapped in cycles of frustration. But if you learn from him, you become freer than ever. So how do you work with the trickster consciously? First, you notice him. Pay attention to life's accidents. The slip of the tongue, the repeated mistake, the joke that cuts too close. Instead of brushing them off, pause. Ask, what truth just slipped through the cracks? Second, laugh. The trickster loves humor. When you laugh at yourself instead of defending your ego, you take away his sharpest weapon. Suddenly, embarrassment becomes liberation. Humor opens space where rigidity used to live. Third, question your certainties. The trickster's role is to challenge authority, and that includes your own beliefs. Whenever you find yourself saying, "This is the only way," listen closely. That's where he'll strike. He wants you flexible, adaptable, awake. Fourth, integrate what you learn. If you keep meeting the same obstacles, the trickster is signaling a blind spot. Maybe it's a toxic relationship pattern. Maybe it's the fear of failure disguised as perfectionism. Once you see the pattern, the trickster's job is done, and you grow stronger. In mythology, when heroes face the trickster, they don't always defeat him. They dance with him, bargain with him, sometimes even become him. Jung saw this as a lesson. The trickster is not an enemy to destroy, but a shadow to integrate. You carry him inside you. He is the voice that mocks your self-importance, the force that breaks your illusions, the spark that reminds you not to take the game of life too seriously. And here's the paradox. The more consciously you embrace the trickster, the less power he has to disrupt you. When you can laugh at your failures, admit your blind spots, and see meaning in chaos, you step into psychological sovereignty. In the end, the trickster's chaos is sacred. He tears down falsehoods so that truth can breathe. He shows us that control is an illusion, and that real strength is found in humility, curiosity, and play. So the next time life trips you, instead of cursing the fall, pause. Look around. Ask yourself, what lesson just arrived, disguised as nonsense? That is the trickster at work. And if you can dance with him instead of resisting, he'll transform from a saboteur into a guide, leading you toward the wholeness Jung called individuation. Because the trickster's final joke is this: what feels like chaos is often the doorway to becoming who you truly are.